Good morning. Thank you for still keeping us company right here in Good Morning Kenya on KBC Channel 1. I'm Regina. Manyara. It's a fresh new year and people are looking at career progression or even nailing that elusive, job that you've been dreaming about. But what is holding you back? This morning, we're going to be discussing matters of career progression and how to leverage on technology. Joining us in studio is none other than James Watere, who is a HR consultant, among other credentials, isn't it?
Yes.
So let's start off with getting to know, James Watere in a nutshell. Yes, HR consultancy, but there's something else that you do when it comes to matters of career. And we've seen people come up and say, hey, I am a career coach. Are you?
Yes, I am. My name is James Watere. I am a career coach. I am a LinkedIn expert. I also help people in optimizing their LinkedIn profile. So in short, I teach people what they were not taught in school.
What we weren't taught in school. It's about time we got some pen and paper. We're ready to learn. So this is quite an interactive segment. We are on Twitter. You can get us on KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle is at Ray Manyara. What's your Twitter handle, Watere, for the questions
James Watere.
At James Watere on
all social
media platforms, all of them, Twitter, Facebook and such. Questions around how to better yourself where you are, and if you're actively seeking a job, well, this is a show for you. Let's hit the ground running. What is synonymous in the dailies that we have is adverts, opportunities.
Yes.
We are looking for X, Y, Z. However, the statistics indicate that our employment rate is at around 62%. Yes, and a majority of those fall in the bracket of youth. Why do you think that we are having so very many people yet unemployed, yet qualified? They have the requisite document, but they do not get the jobs.
There are several factors why people are unemployed. One is because they fail to blood themselves in the workplace for them to be attractive to employers. Two is because they did very unattractive courses or courses that they don't like, which originated from the way they were selected. When going to campus, it is the computer select you, the courses that you are going to do. You go to the university, you realize that you can't change. You end up doing the same course for the 4 years. Especially when you go to a public university, they are very notorious of that. It's very difficult to change. You get into a lecture hall, you are 1,000 of you, sometimes 4,000 in a hall, sometimes the mics are not even working, you can't hear. You end up borrowing notes during exam time, you just cram and pass exams. So we are producing a generation of crammers, exam takers, and not problem solvers. That's where the problem is starting. So now when they get out, they have no employability skills. So they become very unattractive to the employer because now they have to be retrained. And if they don't have the employability skill, which is a simple thing like communication skills, there are graduates who can't even draft a simple letter of correspondence or an email. There are people who cannot even communicate to the panel what they are going to bring to the company, even a simple question of like, tell us about yourself.
That's a question. Actually, we're getting there. Those questions that you encounter during, a recruitment exercise.
Yes.
So what I've heard from you, Mr. Watere, is that not only are we looking at, we are not branding ourselves properly as active job seekers, or even people who are seeking to, progress in their careers.
Yes.
But we are also lacking the requisite skills courtesy of what we studied. Now, two remedies to that. Now, what are the remedies? Let's talk about the branding aspect before we get to, the skills.
Yes.
The branding aspect. How can we leverage on technology to give us a better platform?
First is to know yourself. What are you good at? There are careers that you need to really brand yourself properly, especially online, so that at least you can attract employers. And one of the best platforms, we have both traditional and technological. The traditional ones are the use of a CV where you customize your CV, you send it to the employer. The problem I have with the people is that they send generic CVs. The same CV you send to IBC for voter verification is the one you are sending to UN, is the one you are sending to Safaricom, is the one you are sending to the chief home to give you uncle where.
Hold up. Are you saying that you advise that we tailor-make our CVs?
That's how it's supposed to be. Otherwise, you're going to be applying for jobs, click and apply for years without getting an interview. This is because there is an recruitment tool that the recruiters are using. This is called the ATS, Applicant Tracking System. This came up as a result of the many hundreds of and thousands of job seekers who apply for one job. They came, the people who have pioneered this system are the global companies, the Facebook, the Google, because in a span of advertising one job, in a span of 24 hours, they would get 500,000. There is no HR would go through 500,000 CVs in the short recruitment process that they have. So to ease in the process, they came up with this ATS where they feed the JD of the job you have applied plus your CV. So if it doesn't match, then it is rejected at that stage. And you'll continue saying there are no jobs. So how do you make sure that it matches the job you're applying? You customize the keywords that they have used, especially in the section they call minimum requirements. And you have them indicated on your CV. If, for example, you're applying for a project manager, and they have indicated you must have skills like monitoring and evaluation, proposal writing, report writing, strategic planning, and you have them, indicate them on your CV, so that when it is fed in the JD, in the ATS system, it's going to have a higher score and go to the next stage.
Mm-hmm. That's something I've learned. I think we take the easy way. You're told a CV. Now let's look at the contents of a CV. 10 years back, a CV was your name, your address, which school you attended, where you are at right now, including hobbies and such. CV in this moment, in the 21st century as I speak, what entails a CV?
The CV has evolved. The curriculum vitae, as we call it, has evolved from 1950. It was starting in 1950, where it was handwritten, literally with your name, contacts, and your qualifications, and you said through poster to your employer. So it has evolved. Then it came to the one that you could print, where there was your biography, names, then career objectives.
A majority of us are there. Please, let's tackle here. Where are we at? What is an ideal component?
We moved now to the ATS where we are. So if you are still having that one, that you are still having the career objective, you won't get any job anytime soon. You better upgrade yourself. Yeah.
We hear you.
Yes.
So we need to upgrade our CVs to meet the ATS.
Yes,
and that is where we are. Those are the emerging trends right now for job seekers. Now, there are the questions that you panelists, when you're facing a panel, recruitment panel, these are questions that a majority of Kenyans still can't answer. And this brings down to the issues that you raised. Lack of communication skills. You can have someone who is fully qualified. However, we cannot communicate how we can deliver or what you're bringing to the table. Give us the top 5 questions that are asked in an interview panel and how to go about it.
Of course, the first question is tell us about yourself. That question, it doesn't matter whether you are going for a managerial job or a startup, it will come up at some point. Even if they frame it in a different way, it will still come up at some point. And how do I go about answering that? This question is very simple. It is not a time to regurgitate what is in your CV. It is not time to tell us which village you came from. It's not time to tell us you have how many sisters you have. It's not time to tell us how you suffered when you are going to school. It is not time to say that. So I teach people, there is 3 formulas that I teach people. A formula teach people so that they can't forget, because you keep repeating them or tell them, then it is easy for them to remember a formula. It is who I am, who are you, your name, your education, and your qualification. What are you good at? You tell the panel, now you're supposed to relate whatever is in the JD and your skills, so that then you can tell the panel what you are good at. In verbatim now. In verbatim, For example, I am recruiting for a job, communications manager somewhere. So ask me that question, I get if we try and see if I've gotten that formula that you said. Who is Regina? Well, now that is it. That is it. The stagnation, when we are thinking about it. If someone is going for an interview, should they prepare? That's the first thing you do when you receive that phone call from a recruiter? First of all, you make sure you have understood the venue, the date, and the name of the organization to start with. So you start preparing from the word go. Then you go back to that job you applied. You print it. You print the JD. Then you print your CV. Or even if you won't print, you go to your computer, open one window with your CV and the other one with the JD. Then you try and see, you go through the JD word by word, because 70% of the questions come from the JD. So you even try to formulate questions yourself, because if they have asked for teamwork, at some point that question will come up. Have you ever managed a team? What happened when one of the team members did not deliver on time? Those questions are going to come up. If they're asking about a project that skills in project management, they're going to ask you a project you managed. What was it about? What was the number of people you were managing? Was it delivered on time? So try to formulate your own questions from that JD, because they are going to come up at some point. Then from there you prepare grooming, and you prepare arriving on time. So for example, some organization and some places that hidden, you may need to visit a day area or
scout, basically
scouting, so that at least you're able to know the direction. So preparation is very important. So when you prepare and then you arrive on time, so you'll be able to cool your nerves. So by the time you're called, even if it is a panel of 7 or 8, you won't freak out, because one, you have prepared, 2, you have cooled down, and you're ready for the interview. Mm-hmm. If you don't prepare, the opposite happens. You freeze, you even forget your names. That's when the Queen's language, the English language, escorts you up to the door. Then when you get in, it tells you, let's meet at home. Then you freeze, then that is it.
That has happened. That has happened. That has hit close home. Now, we've said about that question about, tell us about yourself. It's basically your name, as you said. Try and match the JD to your qualification.
Yes.
What else?
Add your relevant experience.
And relevant experience.
Relevant experience.
Don't tell me about primary school, secondary school. They're talking about a master's degree in psychology and communication would be an added advantage. So that is what I go for. Yeah.
If you did some clerk job for the IBC and there is a middle, senior level or middle level job, don't try going to the beginning, those side hustles that you did in your career. Go straight to those relevant jobs that are related to the job you applied. Mm-hmm. Then highlight the achievements that you have achieved in your career, relevant to the job you applied.
Achievements relevant to the job that you're seeking.
Yeah.
What if you have none? There's the issue of experience. There's the issue of experience, and these dogs are majority of new job seekers.
Yeah.
They lack the experience, they have the zeal, they have the passion, they went to school and studied, but they lack in experience.
I tell graduates, you have no excuse not to have experience. And they think they can throw stones at me. Why? Because the moment you get your foot into the university, you either break or make your career. And I don't mean about attending lectures. That is obvious. You're supposed to attend lectures. What you do now from the moment you get to university is there are so many organizations and clubs and productive activities that you can engage in the university. For example, there are clubs like ISEC, President's Award, Red Cross, Toastmasters. Those ones, they even give you opportunities to volunteer in the organization. They invite people for their career fair. They invite people for dinners. They even come to give you talks. So you find that by the end you finish your 4 year in the university, you have volunteered, and you have your 2 years of volunteer or data entry, which makes the difference, the total difference from somebody who is completely fresh, who doesn't know how workplace looks like, who don't even know how to attend an interview, who doesn't even know how to dress up to attend an interview. It makes a whole difference. Yeah.
Now, does that also apply to practicum, or what they term as, internship? While you haven't graduated, but you are, shadowing someone working somewhere. Internship, practicum, how do we leverage on that to also, for graduates to come up and say, you know what, I have this experience. Does that also count?
Yes, it counts. So what I tell those who go for internships, the next level after internship is assistant something, assistant accountant or assistant whatever, is somebody who is assisting a senior person. So when immediately you get to that organization, you get to find out what the assistant does and find out how he got that job. Then you start practicing and asking for some assignment to assist them. That's the way you are going to prepare yourself for the job employment. Otherwise, if you are just an intern, you go to the office, you are doing nothing, you are just being sent for photocopies and to get tea and mandazi. The internship will be done in your 3 months and you have learned nothing. Then you go to the next employer, then you ask you, what did you learn in your internship? You have nothing to say. Yeah, that's the point.
Now, let's also, the other question, other than tell us more about yourself, is like, why did you leave your previous employment?
Yes. How
do you answer that?
Wow, that's a question that really gets people trapped on bad-mouthing their former boss and bad-mouthing the employer, which is very dangerous. Even if you left in bad terms, the employment world is a very small space. You may be bad-mouthing this boss to this recruiter, and they know each other. So the best thing to do is, if you left, you can say you left because you are searching for greener positions, or you left because you felt there was no more charges and you are looking for better charges. There are several reasons you can give that are reasonable enough without bad-mouthing your boss. I tell job seekers, interview are not gossip sessions. Don't go bad-mouthing anyone in an interview session.
Issue of being a team player and giving examples. You see, you write, other than your credentials and that, I say I'm a team player, can work under pressure and such. Do they really add value when you're presenting ourselves to recruiters?
When you say team player, these days recruiters are going ahead and have you been given an assignment where you're working as a team? What was your role? Because they have noticed people will throw these words all over without backing them up with evidence. So when you say you are a team player, make sure you have an example. And any other question that you get to answer in an interview room, you always go further, a step further, and give an example. That will make you a better candidate than any other person who just came and just mentioned and they kept quiet.
Let me give you a case in point of a situation here. Person walks in into a recruiter's panel. The meeting, they were scheduled to do an interview at 3 p.m. The recruiters kept them waiting for an hour. So they get in at 4. So the recruiters, when this job seeker walks in, they stand up and they apologize. Sorry for keeping you waiting. The one seeking your job says, it's okay, understood. I took that time to get into some reading. Meeting commences. Responses that we give that we don't think are really going to shape what the recruiters think about you as a prospective employee. Actually, that report, when they handed the report, they actually termed that job seeker as rude. For that one statement, it's okay, I took time to do my reading. They interpreted that as being rude. So, as a career coach, what words, what responses should we be careful about? Because then we're dealing with people, we're not dealing with machines. There's nothing that is cut in stone. Those responses.
You know what I tell the job seekers? When a potential employer is interviewing you, you're also interviewing them. You also don't want to get into a toxic work environment. If somebody seriously they got read, and you got a magazine there, you started reading, I don't find anything wrong in saying that you got yourself into reading. I don't find anything wrong about that. So I tell job seekers, when you're also interviewing the potential employer, you're able to see whether is it a conducive working environment, is it a toxic boss? Because now the issue of mental health is huge nowadays as we speak, and I've actually I have a very bad case of somebody who tried to commit suicide because of a toxic boss. So that example you're given, I find anything wrong with that. That is a good place that you should work. Move on to the next one.
So recruiters should also know. No, I mean potential. What are they?
Potential employers.
Job seekers.
Yeah.
Job seekers should also be aware that they are also interviewing their potential new bosses.
Yes.
That you're also looking after yourself.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing up that issue of mental awareness, especially in the workspace.
Yes.
We saw what happened last week in one of the media houses where you know, one of us in the industry decided to take their own life.
Yes.
And may he so continue resting in peace.
Yes.
Now let's come back to that question about pay. Payment. How much do you think we should pay you? Very tricky question.
Very tricky. And this question will come up at some point. This is another question that is whether it usually comes up at the end of the interview process or so it's good to prepare. One, these days some employers are courteous enough to put the salary range on the JD. However, there are still so many employers who are not doing that. So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to research how much do they pay for this cadre, for this level of the job I'm applying. This you can get this from maybe former employers who used to work there. Former employers can be able to give you some good information, but the current employers may not be able to give you for reasons we all know, obvious reasons.
Yes.
So where do you get these previous employees? You can get them on LinkedIn. Go and search on LinkedIn that company and people who worked there. So if you still are not able to get this information, look for a company that does the same kind of business with almost the same size, and try to investigate how much they also pay there, because most of, let's say for example, audit firms, the KPMG, the Ernst & Young, the Deloitte, they almost pay almost the same range. So try to find out from a company that does the same business how much they pay. If you still don't get, there is online. There is something. There is a site called Pay Scale. They give you a scale of how much this job is supposed to be paid. Then you, of course, now you have your own range. Now come the day you ask about how much should we pay you. Always give a range, and be comfortable with the lower range, because the employer may settle with the lower range. If you found out that the rate is between 70,000 and 100,000, make yours to be 80,000 to 120,000. You
give yourself some wiggle room.
Yes, so that now you give yourself some kind of bargaining power. Because if you start at 70,000 and now you start bargaining with the employer, you might go back to 60. So you always give a range and always. But you see now, you can't do that if you have not done enough research.
So research is key. As we come to a close, Watere, and I think this is a conversation we need to have once again, because I'm seeing a lot of feedback. So one of our viewers is asking, does my social media platform influence how recruiters view me, potential recruiters will view me?
Yes, it does.
You know, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we are all over. Does this influence? Does it have an influence to potential recruiters? So
social media is one of the way you brand yourself. Your branding is both online and offline. So whatever you say on social media, they say garbage in, garbage out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So If you are the people going and sorting people everywhere, then the employer will conclude that if you come to my workplace, you go to use the same vulgar language in the employment. Then they also start questioning your moral values. And they also start questioning your emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is simply managing your emotions and the emotions of others. So they'll start questioning those elements of your personality. And immediately the employer has a doubt about you. By the time you go into an interview room, they already have made up their mind of who you are.
So it really plays a part.
It plays a huge part.
A
huge part, yes.
How they take you.
Yes.
Now, this conversation, we can't end it in 30 minutes. So do bear with us. We're going to also have another section sometime next week to talk matters of career progression at a time when the country finds itself dealing with a high number of unemployed persons, a majority of them are youth. We have been speaking to a HR consultant and career coach, none other than James Watere. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for having me.